Hi, everyone. So this is Tuesday, September 15th for those in 5th and 7th period, and this is Thursday, September 17th for those in 1st and 3rd period. So the homework you just had due was your week 5 science notebooks, and then also your LT3 graph assessment where you had to write a caption about a graph on sleep and stress. So hopefully you've turned that in. I started out class with just asking people how many hours of sleep they get a night, and then also if how the writing caption went, if it was like hard, if it was easy, if it was confusing. All right. So a couple of things for attendance. I announced that I am so sorry, but I'm introducing a new system for attendance just because we teachers have to take attendance on Wednesday, even though we don't actually see you, which I think is silly, but here we are. So in your notebooks, I will include a really, really short activity you can do in like 3 minutes on Wednesday, and you turn it in. So in your notebooks, you don't actually turn in your notebooks. I'm sorry, you don't turn in your actual notebooks. You would click on whatever link I put in your notebook in this big red page, and you would complete whatever activity I have in that link. Okay, so this time it is by 3 p.m. on Wednesday. You have to make sure that you complete this like 1 question survey about how biology class is going. All right. So that is a new system. Every Wednesday, look out for that big red page. So then for announcements, this applies for Mr. Trin's class as well. Most of your teachers should have gone through this already, but we have to turn in grades by Friday, this Friday, the 18th. And so you want to make sure you get all your assignments in. So for us, the assignments that are due is obviously your professionalism, which you've been demonstrating this whole time, like hitting deadlines, coming to class, letting you know if you can't come to class. The other thing is in your Learning Target 1 for your Teenage COVID podcast that you listen to, that is in your week 4 science notebook, and it's on slide 4. So you want to make sure that that is done because we are grading that. The other one, which you should have done, should have been due on Sunday, or would do last class, I should say, is your graph literacy, so your LT3 assessment. That should also be done. That is in your week 6 science notebook. All right. And so the last announcement, this is for both of us. We are holding office hours, and so you can use a link in your science notebook to sign up for office hours. This page is in your science notebook. All right, so today we're going to be looking more at the endocrine system, and basically we're going to be looking at how it actually functions, because we looked into all of these different hormones and what they do in your body, but we haven't actually looked at like what makes these hormones, how do we distribute them throughout the body, how do they know how much to give? So we're going to look at that a little bit today. All right. So on your slide 4, I want you to go ahead and watch this TED Ed video. For those that are Mr. Trin's class, you'll find another video underneath as well that you should watch. But this TED Ed video, I want you to make sure that while you're watching it, you take 2 different notes. And then please, please, please make sure that you only watch until the 2-minute and 16-second mark. Because the video is 4 minutes long. I don't need you to watch the whole thing. So on slide, you'll see here on slide 4, this is it. And this is the link that you will click on to open it up. All right, and I won't play it for you here. So if you want to pause this video and go ahead and do that, you may, and then come back to this video when you've done that. Okay. So after I had students watch this video, I asked students to share out one of their notes. And so people noticed that like when you experience a lot of stress for a long period of time, you actually damage your body, you damage your cells, you are actually changing your physical body by being under stress for that long. So then I move into your slide 5 activities. So then I put everyone into breakout rooms, depending on what breakout room they wanted to do. Obviously, you will not be doing that. So then we jump to slide 5. And for me, I have you watch the Brain Pop video, which is here. And make sure that when you watch this Brain Pop video, you also sign in. So you sign in via the username and the password that I give you here. All right, and for Mr. Trin's class, he has you reading an article here, but it's also just you answer these questions by reading these articles. Now, once you've done that, that kind of tells you, that orients you a little bit with the endocrine system. And then I want you to look into each individual organ in the endocrine system. So all of these organs are on this website down here. So in this website, you will click on each question mark and it'll tell you what the organ does, what it produces, and then you can also see where it is. So you can see here the pituitary gland is located near the brain. And so it produces a lot of different hormones, and it produces growth hormones in particular. So you're gonna fill that in. You would say like near the brain, in the head, right? And then the hormone produced is lots of different hormones. For example, hormones like growth hormones, right? And so you would do that with each organ. And all of these organs are glands, right? Just like your digestive system has organs like the stomach, your intestines. The endocrine system is just made out of glands. All right. So go ahead and take a few minutes to do that, to fill out part 1 and part 2, as we did in class. Come back to the video when you are done. Okay. So after the video, I have a couple of share outs. I ask, why is the hypothalamus so important to the endocrine system? And the answers that students came up with after doing those activities is that the hypothalamus is like the puppeteer. They're the ones that control everything. They're the ones that make sure that all of the other glands are secreting the right amount of hormones, the correct hormones, the necessary hormones, right? And so I asked another question. I asked, why do you think people recommend exercise when you're stressed out? So take a second and think about that. Why do you think people recommend exercise when you're stressed out? Students did a lot of different things, and eventually the answer that we pieced together as a class is that people recommend exercise when you're stressed out because the students remember in fight or flight mode, you release a bunch of adrenaline, right? And that adrenaline is great in the moment when you hit that point of stress and you need that extra energy, you need that boost, you need that little bit that gets you through that stress. However, after you're done dealing with that stress, you still feel the after effects of that adrenaline. So you still feel jittery, you still feel whatever. And so students noted that like maybe people recommend exercise as a way to like process those hormones. So you can get out those jitters. You can like kind of process that really fast heartbeat that you're feeling because of adrenaline. So then we take that kind of new piece of information that we put together, and then we talk about this concept called negative feedback loops. So we just spent all of class being like, oh no, stress is like this thing that is like, you know, that if we're too stressed too much, bad things can happen to us, right? And like we can have our arteries maybe start getting clogged more easily. Maybe like our cells are damaged and changed. But there's this thing that our body is constantly doing, which is our body does not like stress. So it's constantly trying to like get away from that stress. And so I introduced this concept called negative feedback loops. Now, negative feedback loops is this concept where your body's always trying to get back to normal. It's never trying to stay in that stressed out state. So my example, as you can see here, spoilers, is sweating, okay? And so for now, so we're gonna do an example. We're gonna walk through an example where your body goes through a feedback loop so that it can get back to normal. So your body is normal when it's at a good temperature, right? So pretend like you're sitting in your house and the temperature is perfect. It's like not too hot, not too cold, very Goldilocks. So the temperature is perfect. And when your body is sitting at a perfect temperature, it also means it's sitting at homeostasis. So homeostasis means that you're sitting in a place of stability. So everything's good. And so temperature being perfect in your house, in your body, means that you're at homeostasis. Now, let's pretend like this was like 2 weeks ago during a heat wave. And like, the stress that's happening to us right now is that there's so much heat. And so now you are no longer in homeostasis. That homeostasis goes away. You are now stressed. You're overheating. So your brain's reaction is that your brain senses the body's overheating. So what does it do? So it sends signals to sweat. So, okay, now your body's reaction is that it's overheating and it begins to sweat, right? And the action that's taken is as your body sweats, the sweat on your body evaporates. And that evaporating actually cools your body. So water evaporating actually lowers temperatures. So in a perfect world, when you sweat, you actually get cooler. And then that's your body's way of returning back into a state of homeostasis because it's no longer hot because it's sweat. All right, so this process that your body goes through is naturally your body's always trying to return back to homeostasis. And that's your body's mechanism of doing that in this case, in the case of sweating. Now, another way that's more related to the endocrine system is I'm going to give you another scenario. All right, so the scenario is that school is going fine. You feel in control of your classes. You feel like you are turning your assignments in on time. You feel like you're attending class and understanding all the material. Great. So we are in a state of homeostasis. Now, the thing that knocks you off homeostasis is that maybe Mr. Espinoza just assigned a Spanish test. And he, just in class, he announced it. So just now you're sitting at your computer, Mr. Espinoza just announced that you have a Spanish test next week. And immediately you are no longer in homeostasis. You're like, oh my God. So your brain's reaction is your hypothalamus tells glands to secrete epinephrine, which is also adrenaline, and cortisol. So your immediate reaction maybe like is that, oh my God, I have a test in Spanish. So because of your brain's reaction, your body's reaction is that maybe your heart starts racing. You're like, oh my God, I have this test. Your chest feels tight, right? And the stress increases. So that's your body's reaction to the stress. And so you're looking at your computer, class is finishing, you're still like, oh my God. And so your body's natural reaction, if you're like, hopefully this is a thing that you do, your natural reaction is to maybe like get away from this computer, to like step away from your work. Maybe you employ one of your self-care or self-soothing tactics. You're like, this is really stressful. I need to do something to process the stress, to process these hormones that are happening and being secreted in my body. So maybe you go for a walk or a run and you try to clear your head and calm that nervous system, calm your heart down, make sure to get that tight feeling in your chest to go away. And so once you've done that, maybe you're like, okay, like I've gone for a walk, I've processed things, I can do this. I just need to study a little bit. I need to like talk to Mr. Espinoza and ask him, you know, what I need to work on in Spanish. And so then you sit back down and you're back in a place of homeostasis of like, I got this, right? So it's a negative feedback loop that your body naturally does to get you out of whatever stress is happening, to return back to the state of homeostasis. Right? So what I want you to do in your slide 6, which we did in class, is you complete slide 6 of your science notebook by thinking of a negative feedback loop that happens in your life or in your body, right? And so there are a number of things that where you participate in this negative feedback loop. So maybe it's something when you feel hungry. The stress is that you're hungry. Homeostasis is that you feel fine, right? And so what's your brain's reaction, what's your body's reaction, what is the action that's taken? Maybe it's that you're cold. So the stressor is that you're cold, and so you shiver in order to warm up. That is a negative feedback loop that happens. Another one, for example, is that the stressor is that you become dizzy from a spinny ride in an amusement park, right? how does your body naturally get you back to not being dizzy? Because your body doesn't just stay in dizzy mode. All right. So that is the negative feedback loop slide. So that's slide 6, what you want to be doing. So let's see. Okay, so your homework, obviously attendance part, but your homework is to finish the rest of what is in your week 6 notebook. And so what's in your week 6 notebook is you have this right here, which I just explained. You want to examine your own negative feedback loop. But another thing I want you to do for homework is that, remember your classmates made beautiful Flipgrid videos, and you did too. And so I want you to pick 2 other classmates and watch their hormone videos and take notes on it. And I want you to make sure you pick 2 classmates whose hormone is not, you were not assigned. So for example, if you had cortisol as your hormone, I want you to either pick oxytocin or serotonin. What was the other one? There was another one I can't remember. Oh no. But I want you to pick 2 other hormones that you did not research and then take notes to answer those 4 questions. All right. So I've put the links of Flipgrid under here, so you should be able to see them. For me, I have another piece of homework where I want you to answer 4 questions on the endocrine system after you have completed these pages. So there's just 4 more questions I want you to answer. All right, Mr. Trin has another slide 8, another slide here that he also wants you to do homework, so you should complete that. But just know that you should complete all of your slides for homework. That is all I have for you today. So please let me know if you have questions about that. And I hope that you learn a whole lot about the endocrine system.